One of the things I love about doing the show is that I get to meet the most fascinating people. With me now is Regina Kay. She's an interior designer and a whole lot more than that. A wonderful philanthropist, a great person, very caring, very kind. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Regina Kay. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here too with you. When we first met, it was fabulous. We were introduced by friends of ours, and then we instantly had this great connection, this great synergy, because we had both lost a spouse. But it was so much more than that. All of a sudden we said, wait, I want to know you. I'm fascinated by you. One of the things that I genuinely like about you is that in your interior design business, you are trying to help people find peace of mind, a sanctuary, a place for them to relax and unwind. Why is that important to you? And how do you go about that?
As you're saying that, I'm breathing. Everyone needs that, especially in our situation that we were in. But even more so in this day, we're on such tech overload. We lead such incredibly busy lives. Both parents work, if you're together as a couple, obviously, or partners. Both partners work, and you come home and you're almost like you almost feel like you're going to short circuit, you know? So my role, I think interior designers' roles have somewhat evolved throughout time. Years ago, I think it was more Mario Buada's, you know, beautiful chintz style, and Charlotte Moss, which she is still an icon that is almost like a mentor to me, although I don't know her personally. But I think it's really evolved into trying to help people wind down and relax. So what my goal is to create this sanctuary in people's homes, a place where they can unplug. And that does not necessarily mean a room, which if you have the room, I'd love that. I mean, I'd love, in the Indian culture, people build temples within their homes, small rooms where they can go meditate and they can go pray. And what an, you know, I think it's such a wonderful gift to be able to have the money to create a room to do that. However, a lot of us don't have that. So what my goal is to be able to put a house together so that it creates this home that when you come home to, at the end of the day, you can walk through and you can just breathe. And it's a lot about how the energy moves through the house, and not necessarily feng shui. That's a completely different, you know, study. I very, very much use my intuition when I work with people. So, yeah, very much creating a sanctuary.
There's certain things, even in my own home, and I'm sure you're the same way, that just have to be. Like, and I tell people ahead of time, like, the pictures in my home, they have to be straight. Not because I have OCD, but visually it's more appealing to me.
Yes.
I won't leave the house. I always try to make my bed in the morning, right? Because I like the feeling of going home and feeling like I'm at a hotel where right? I don't like an unmade bed. I like the pillows in my living room to be kind of proper and fluffed, because at any moment I have to answer the door. I want somebody to be able to walk in and at least, okay, on occasion, like today, there's dishes in my sink. Okay, I would prefer that they not be, right? But for the most part, I'm the same way. I want it to have a flow. I like for a color, almost like a rolling river throughout my home, that there's a look, you know? So it's not like one room has like gold glitter fish, and then the next room is something else.
Well, you don't want Disney World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want it to be complete, like a whole kind of unit.
Right.
So when you're sitting down with a client, do you do like an intake with them, like things that are important to them? How do you start with a consultation?
So basically, I sit with these people, and you know, of course, there's that exchange. There's looking into someone's eyes. There's watching their hand gestures. There's even taking in where they live now, the space that they live in at that very moment. And usually we meet in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, and they ask lots of questions. And that's great because I pay attention to the questions they ask. One of the things that I do ask is I ask them to see their closet. And I say that because I was just having this conversation with someone. Often people talk about the colors that they love. And you might love a color, but you may not like living with it. So they may say, I love red, or I love blue, or I love whatever. And then all of a sudden you go in their closet and it looks like they're a cocktail waitress because all they have is black and white. So so they may like hints of blue, or they may like hints of red, and so that's a part of it. Another part, and an interesting and perhaps different part, is I consult an astrologer. So I get birth dates. Once I know that they're going to be working with me, of course. I don't ask them those freaky questions when they really don't know me. But I ask them for their children's birth dates, months, years, and where they were born, and I consult with an astrologer, because what I have found is that it plays a really interesting role in how everyone gets along in the house, and what their color is, their vibration for a certain month or day that they're born. So it's really, and it's really never failed me. So it's a really cool thing, and I do use my intuition, and that's such a big part. You know, it's allowing them to see my vulnerability and theirs as well, and we share things about what they do for a living, if they travel, what they love to do. Do they love to cook, or do they hate to cook? You know, all those things are so important. So it's kind of like it's making new friends over and over and over again, and I love that. And building trust, seeing that I'm loyal. It's all about building these relationships. So it's kind of like, it's like this massive interview.
And so I agree with you. Early in the interview, you were talking about how an interior designer's role has changed. So you're also like friend, therapist, you know.
Huge therapist.
Yeah. You probably have saved marriages. You've probably saved families. I know for a fact.
It's horrible.
You know what? But it's true. Like when you date somebody, you should just ask them, like, all right, what are your aesthetics? You know, speaking of that, what are your aesthetics? How did you arrive with your personal aesthetic?
So I'm first generation American. I'm born here in America. Go Bronx. But I'm born here in New York. My parents and my entire family is from Vienna, Austria. My great-grandparents, I think, were from France, but nonetheless, so they're all European. And we were born with, you know, really nothing. It was on a shoestring. But ever since I was a baby, we spent every single summer in Vienna. My parents would have to go to work, so we were dumped with my grandparents, and that's where I lived. And wherever they traveled throughout the summer, or where my cousins traveled, is where we went. So it's interesting, you know, when you're a child and you don't have any outside influences, any, you know, anyone that tells you that, oh, that's wrong or that's right, and all you're doing is absorbing, and it's really, really the most wonderful thing. So I truly believe that my brain's been just embedded, like this computer in this head has been downloaded with all this wonderful art and architecture, even without me recognizing that was happening. And that's so cool. So the greatest thing for me is when I create a space, or I create a room, or I pick colors, or I pick fabric, and, you know, 4, 5, 6 months later, it's on the cover of House Beautiful, you know, the isms of what I brought to some other client.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, God, I did it again.
Yeah, I did it.
And I've had clients call me to say, did you see what's the navy on the walls and the high gloss navy moldings? What? You know, what? So it's really neat. And that's but it's all inside. It's something that, you know, I could have perhaps become a lawyer, but I think I would have wound up being an interior designer later. And it's just inside of you, you know. So yeah, that's where my aesthetics are. I'm very proud of my heritage. So
yes,
I'm very lucky.
Should be.
I'm very lucky.
Well, you as a woman also, I think that every time I see you, you're just put together so well. You carry yourself with such beauty and grace.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, it's absolutely true. You also have like a connection or a thing with Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. How do you use that?
Okay.
Like, what is that?
So don't run away.
Okay.
You know, don't run away. You know, here's a person that was you know, running away and felt she needed these gorgeous ruby red slippers to get home, right? So in creating someone's interiors, a lot of people strive to save all their money to go on vacation, and vacations cost thousands and thousands of dollars, okay? It's all home. You know, if I create it for you and you help me and I help you, your sanctuary's home. Your sanctuary's here. You don't have to run away anywhere. You don't need, it's all home.
It's absolutely true.
And I get the chills just saying it, because people get caught up in, like, where are you going? I'm going to St. Bart's, I'm going here, I'm going there. And you know what? That's so great. If you have the money, if you're blessed, more power to you. There's lots of very, very beautiful places in this world, some that I, vie to, I just would love to visit because of their beauty, but it's home, So if you could possibly have that gift. I had one client in particular I did that for. They did not have a lot of money, and all she wanted was a beautiful living room. And the only thing I heard from her the moment I got into her home was, my beach house, my beach house. I run to my beach house. After I was done, she literally called me up, and she was crying on the phone. And she said, I just need to let you know, this is the first time I have set foot through my doors, and I don't want to go to my beach house. And that's wonderful, create your sanctuary at home, unplug, get peace of mind from just walking through your door and shutting it behind you. And
absolutely.
At that point, you don't even need a glass of wine. I mean, you could just literally walk through your door and go, oh, I'm home.
Yes, I'm home. I think I have been blessed with having that opportunity. I grew up in a household that, there's no place like home, and it maybe wasn't the fanciest place, but when I was home, I was home. Mm-hmm. And I think same thing, come in, take your shoes off, and just be like, mm-hmm. So, well, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we look forward to, your design work and the things that you've been doing for people. Thank you for the tips and the authentic sharing, too, because even if somebody isn't able to hire an interior designer, at least if they, on their own, can try to make their surroundings feel good for themselves, then they're already going to be empowered. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Stay tuned for more. I've been visiting with Regina Kay, and if you have an idea that you'd like to see on Live It Up, please write to me at liveituptvshow@gmail.com. I try to answer all my email personally. Thank you.